The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
Hey,
Bloody hell, it has been a while since I heard them words.
No, yeah, mate. And do you know what? Like, it's typical chain wrestling fashion. Just when you press the intro video, my internet started fucking up.
Well, just as I pressed the start stream button, it said that Twitch says the title is invalid. Please edit it. So I was scrambling in to try and edit the
Nobody
title.
watches us on Twitch.
No, nobody watches us on YouTube.
Well, there we go.
But here we go.
It has indeed been a little while. We will get into why shortly. But Maxie, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. So it feels like months since I saw your face, and it feels like months since I saw it with a big sweaty smile on it. So I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're wearing a hat as well.
Why?
Because we did a show recently, and you did have a hat on, and it completely threw me, and I was a mess for 2 hours. I
get that. So a lot's happened over the last 3 weeks or so in the world. But in general, for me particular, I took the missus to go and see the Bob Marley film recently.
I totally forgot about this.
And for anyone who has a passing interest in Bob Marley and his music, definitely go and see the film. It's absolutely brilliant. There's not a lot of focus on his music. It's more about him and his political stance and stuff like that. But I'm the kind of husband who will pretty much do anything just for a peaceful, quiet laugh. So my missus essentially gets to do what she wants, within reason, obviously. And after going to see this movie, my missus said, "Do you know them dreadlocks? I bet I can do that."
Hang on. That sentence in itself. You know them dreadlocks.
Yeah, that's pretty much verbatim as well. She's, "Do you know them dreadlocks?" Like, yeah. She went, "I bet I can do that." And I outwardly say, "Yeah, I bet you could." Inwardly, I was thinking, for fuck's sake, here we go. 2 hours or so later, she binged a load of YouTube videos, and the day after, she said to me, "Can I dreadlock your hair?" Now, I had two options then. No, saying no, which eventually leads to saying yes, because she would just badger me until I give up, or going along with it like the fucking idiot I am. I picked the easy option of number 2.
Okay.
So I got my hair dreadlocked by Mrs. Maggs. Would you like to see the results?
I can't put into words how fucking excited I am.
Now, I'm going to look like a typical white bloke who has tried weed for the first time. Are you ready?
Oh, look at this. Oh. See, this doesn't work at all for the audio version, but I'm sure we can get a picture.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I mean, I'm getting used to it now. I'm taking the hat off. I am getting used to it now, but I do look like a Simpsons character.
You do a bit.
Yeah. It's Dan Griffin's comment is perfect. Fucking hell. It's like Bray Wyatt off Team.
It looks like a big hairy spider has died on your bonds.
Bray Wishart.
Wish.
What the fuck have I walked in on? It's Jason Lee. Exactly. And that's what I said to her. I said, do not make it look like a pineapple. And the first thing she did was make it look like a pineapple. So yeah, I am now an albino Rasta.
An albino Rasta. There's a t-shirt in that. Maybe not. Maybe not.
I'm appropriating someone else's culture now. Jesus Christ. So yeah. I'm now a Rastafarian.
Well, I think it's very fetching. On that note, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever, whenever.
It's the shaving, you know. I know I have to interrupt you. The only way to get rid of them now is to literally shave them off.
Well, you can't. You got to just grow them out now. They got to be down to your waist.
Booker T.
Yeah.
Booker Twat. That's me now.
Booker Twat. Shall I try the intro again then? Shall I? Are you done interrupting?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Good. Wait. You done? I'm trying to time it so when you drink, so you don't interrupt me.
I will promise to not interrupt. Look.
You're a blagging piece of shit. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live with Mags and Si, an SJP World Media production. Episode 144, I think. Or I've not updated the counter properly.
Brilliant. It's live episode 113.
Okay, so that sounds about right. I am Si, and with me, as always, is the Butch Reed to my sleep need, because I'm very tired, Magsy, but we'll get to that in a moment when we talk about where we have been. The one night tourney. So my jokes are corny. That one works, Mags, doesn't it? Do you like that?
It does. It does.
That's
work.
a good one. I'm having that. You liar. A podcaster who I've missed bloody loads. And I did not, I totally forgot about the dreadlocks as well. So it makes it even better. The podfather himself, Lord Mags. How are you, my dreadlocked friend?
I'm feeling like a twat, like a weed smoking pillock.
Yeah. So if you do decide to shave them off, you're going to look weird, even more strange then, aren't you?
I've shaved all my hair off whilst being on live episodes. Not obviously at the time, but wearing a hat, so you never knew.
Well, this is the thing, you're wearing a hat, so we don't know. But now, you can never wear a hat whilst you've got those. But they're going to become as big a part.
I literally had a hat on then.
No. What I mean is from now on, we always have to see them.
No, enjoy this episode, folks, because next week, Mags, if next week happens, so I don't call it off, Mags will be hat wearing yet again.
Oh,
just a great big Rastafarian one, you know.
Like the sort of knitted kind of, gathers all the okay. Magsy, I suppose we better have a little chat about where we've been.
Well, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, it's been a little while
since the 22nd of February waiting. I thought that I was just running late, but clearly I wasn't.
You've been sat just there,
yeah,
in a puddle of your own filth.
It's now a tsunami. It went past the puddle a long time ago.
It becomes an electrical hazard at some point, surely. Okay, right. Let's dive into it. First of all, we were going to switch from a Monday evening to a Thursday evening because of me getting a new job. I started working nights, and I did that for a couple of weeks. So Monday nights were not going to work because my night shifts were all at the start of the week. So Thursday night seemed like the best option. Then I got a bit upset because a couple of people who normally join us on a Monday night couldn't join us on a Thursday night. But as we always say, real life comes first. I've got to earn the money, etc., etc. Add to that, and I'm not going to go into too many details because it's not my place to put it out there, but I do feel that people, some people do have a rough idea and so on anyway. But add to that then, in maybe my second week of doing this new job, we had some pretty bad news that my dad has been took quite ill. And again, I'm not going to put forward any details here on YouTube or anything like that. But he is poorly. It is not great. It's a very concerning time. Add this to my mental health having a bit of a wobble. I basically lost the plot, and
welcome to the club.
Yeah, so it's been a difficult couple of weeks for me personally. For me, with regards to the family as well, obviously. Work wise as well was tricky because I wasn't going in to do the night shifts, and also added to that as well, I started working nights thinking it would be great for my home life and my family, getting all my hours done out the way in a couple of shifts, and the night shift rate was higher, so it covered my bills without having to work so often. But last time I worked nights was 20 odd years ago, and I enjoyed it back then. But on this, I couldn't adjust, and we mentioned my sleep in the intro there. Again, health-wise things, the wife reckons I need to go for blood tests to get myself checked out with certain things and so on. I'm just tired all the time. I just sleep all the time. So now with working nights, it was literally a case of I was in bed till whatever time. I was getting up, going straight to work. So it wasn't practical anyway, it seems, the night shifts themselves. But I would have made it work. But then, of course, the issues with my family, my fantastic father getting as ill as he has. I want to first of all thank everyone who's reached out as well, Magsy, yourself included. Obviously I don't say reach out because we live together, but my wonderful wife has been fantastic. Sharon's been awesome as she always is. And obviously everyone else in the CWF. I've had so many messages, whether it's via Twitter or on WhatsApp by those who have my number and so on. It's difficult to put into words how much I appreciate that. It really was amazing of all of you. If at any point I didn't reply, if at any point I replied maybe more bluntly than I meant to, if at any point I didn't reply for 8-9 hours, it's probably because I was asleep. But it's just a case of the situation is what it is. Still not out of the woods in any way, stretch of the mind in any shape or form. However, I've started a new role, a new job. I'm back working days. I think that's better for me. Sharon seems to think it's better for me as well. And it does mean we can return to Monday nights for now. And hopefully try and get some normality. So on one hand, that's fantastic. On the other hand, what a waste of time it was spending that evening making that brilliant video about us going to Thursdays. What a waste.
I mean, in the grand scheme of what's happened to you personally over the last 3 or 4 weeks, that wouldn't be the one thing that I'd be that concerned about.
No.
To the fact that you're here now and you're your perky little self, it's just a testament to just how well you've pulled through all these last few weeks. So I'm proud of you. I think you're doing with all the things that are going on with you, and I think you're doing amazingly well to even be here now. So I'm 100 privately and publicly. Anything you need, just definitely give me a shout. I'm only a phone call or a message away. I'm here for you, buddy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But that's kind of the general gist of where we've been and what's been going on. But I'm glad that we're back. Hopefully we can get some kind of normalcy running with this. Start time for the show, people will notice, is a touch earlier. We used to be 9 p.m, then we went to 8:30 p.m. Now we're at 8 p.m. for tonight. We're going to see how this. I've got to try and get stuff right with regards to, because I've got to get the bus home from work. I've got to time it right so I can get home, get myself sorted out in time to start the show. But at the same time, I don't want to start the show too late because I've got an early start. I don't want to be up and so on. So we may mess around with the times a little bit here and there, but we'll always make sure you're fully aware on our social medias and so on. And bang Andy there saying it fits in better with his bath time.
I mean, to be fair, you guys have been absolutely amazing with how much we've chopped and changed. Si and I have had conversations behind the scenes and said we feel bad that we're screwing about with you guys and not getting used to the times chopping and changing, the days chopping and changing. So the fact that we've been away for 3-4 weeks and you've still come back and tuned in, we massively appreciate you all. You guys are the show. It's as simple as that. Without you, we wouldn't be doing this. So thanks for that.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that, you prick. So I will pre-warn everybody though. Okay, I am probably the least prepared I have been for a show ever. And if you've ever tuned in to the previous 140 plus episodes, you know
for sure. Fuck you. So, I've literally been here where you have winged Hall of Lames and Hall of Fames at the same time. You have never been prepared. You write your notes in crayon.
Pen, actually. Pen. Look, pen. Oh, do you want to see my pen? Do you want to see my cool pen?
No, not really.
Let's get on with
the
job.
Come on.
No, shush a minute. My new job, I'm not actually allowed to tell you what it is. I had to sign the Government's Secrets Act and all this sort of stuff, right? And I'm not doing it. I'm not doing anything.
Come on, folks. I'm telling you now. You go down Gloucester Town Centre in the middle? That's why we're working nights. You go down Gloucester Town Centre in the middle of the night.
No, honestly, it's nothing spectacular or anything like that. It's a very straightforward role I got, but it's going to pay the bills for a little while, so that's nice. But this is the thing. It does feel a little bit like, bit of a spy. And look at this. Look at this pen that they gave me at work, right? It's a torch as well. Now, that is some proper James
Bond. 3 times, it shoots out a little tranquilizer dart.
I've lost the lid, though. Brilliant. Which is a shame. But there we go. Magsy, where are we going first? Because I don't know.
It's Hall of Fame, Hall of Lame first, usually.
Okie doke.
And now you threw me, so I have to get the right button. Well, what is mine this week? Mine's one of these.
The Hall of
What do you got for us, mate?
Okay, so we are on the road to WrestleMania. It's starting to be the most exciting time of the wrestling calendar, the showcase of the immortals, the granddaddy of them all. And the topic that we covered today kind of inspired, we're going to cover today, the wrestling match that we're going to cover, kind of inspired this Hall of Lame. Because I had one that was in the works, and obviously with what's happened over the last few weeks, it didn't feel quite appropriate. So I kind of switched onto this one, and it's one I've wanted to cover for a while, but WrestleMania season makes sense, basically. So you go back to the early days of WrestleMania when it was just an idea from Vince McMahon. WrestleMania 1. That run time of WrestleMania 1 was 2 hours, 16 minutes.
It's mad, isn't it?
It soon starts to bump up, though. WrestleMania 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 and 7, all kind of like drifted further and further into 3 hours. I think WrestleMania 7 was like 3.5 hours. Then we get to WrestleMania 8 through 15, I think, they drop back under 3 hours. So very digestible times. Like you can literally sit down, you can bang them on the network, and 2 or 3 hours you've got through one of WrestleManias. We then get to WrestleMania 2000, and they bump back into mid 3 hours. WrestleMania X7 getting closer and closer to 4 hours. It's like 3.75 hours. And that stays the norm until WrestleMania 20, which I kind of give a pass for the reason of this Hall of Lame, because it is a big event. It's 20 years of WrestleMania. So
it doesn't feel long either, does it? That show doesn't feel long if you watch it back. No,
exactly. And I think that clocks in about 4.5 hours. But they drop back down into sub 4 hours after that for quite a few years. And then we get to WrestleMania 32. Now, WrestleMania 32 is almost 5 hours long. Now, that still sounds like it's digestible. It's a stretch, but it's not exactly that 5 hours.
Sorry, Magsy,
But
sorry to interrupt. Are you including the pre-show in that, or is this just main show?
No,
Right,
the pre-show,
okay.
the pre-show was up to them was a maximum of an hour. WrestleMania 32 pre-show is when they started to be 2-hour pre-shows. So you're looking at almost 7 hours of wrestling then. WrestleMania 33 breaks the 5-hour barrier. WrestleMania 34, around the same, 5 hours, 3 minutes. WrestleMania 35, 5 hours and 20 minutes. And then WrestleMania 36, I think the wrestling world breathed a massive sigh of relief, because that's when we started splitting it into 2 nights, which makes it infinitely more digestible again. But you still had 2-hour pre-shows for each night. So WrestleMania 36 part 1 is just under 3 hours. So you're looking at 5 hours there. And then WrestleMania 36 part 2 is just over 3 hours. So you're looking at 5.5 almost. But they feel more watchable. And then they start getting longer and longer each day. So then WrestleMania 37, both shows are over 3 hours. WrestleMania 38, both shows are over 3 3/4 hours. Bear in mind, these all have 2-hour pre-shows as well beforehand. WrestleMania 39, night 1 was 3 hours and 58 minutes. Night 2 was 3 hours and 36 minutes, plus the 4 hours of pre-show. So my Hall of Lame is the length of WrestleManias. It is becoming ridiculous. WrestleMania 39 was almost 12 hours of wrestling. Is how long bloody WrestleManias are.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. When I was a kid, I used to watch these shows and wish they were longer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you get the old video tapes and you used to rent them, and I'd walk back from the video shop with my mum and sit down and, you know, eat my sandwich and watch the video that we rented that Saturday or whatever. I wish they were longer, because I want more and more content. Now, it's just like, no, it gets to 5 a.m. That needs to be a cutoff for me. If they're starting at 1, obviously if they start at midnight, it's a bit different. But I mean, I don't even watch the pre-shows, mind. And there's some pay-per-views I get towards the main event, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm this is a bit of a slog for me now.
That's exactly the point. You can even tell with the crowds that these shows are way too long, because they have no energy for the main events. They're almost, WWE are almost shooting themselves in the foot, because they're not getting those big reactions, and then they're having to pipe in crowd noises. If they kept those shows condensed like the early two-night WrestleManias, it would be so much better. But you can guarantee that this year's WrestleMania is going to be bigger and longer than the ones previous. So you'll be looking at, again, 12, 13 hours of WrestleMania.
How long do you reckon until they go to 3 nights?
I was surprised that it wasn't this year.
Because of the size of the roster they've got, and the matches they could do, a third night is not beyond. You know, you think about it, if they do a 3-hour pay-per-view, and they're currently clocking in at close to 5 hours, you could just you could easily split it across 3 nights, couldn't you?
That will either be an option, or probably the more likely one is that they'll integrate a UFC event into it. So you'll have maybe WrestleMania on a Friday, UFC on a Saturday, WrestleMania Night 2 on a Sunday.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, it is what it is. TKO, they're taking over the sports entertainment world.
Yes, indeed. I suppose my Hall of Lame kind of links into TKO and the way things operate with them a little bit, to be honest. And it's strange, because it's something that I've sang the praises of for other wrestling companies in the past. When you watch old videos back, or old or stuff on the network, or anything like that. a good example is Halloween Havoc, the old WCW pay-per-view. And you would have Slim Jim sponsoring the event. And okay, sometimes it was a bit garish with the bright Slim Jim ring posts and all that sort of stuff. But it looked different, it looked unique, and it kind of looked cool. WCW it was either absolutely fantastic or total shite. And with the decorations of the sponsorships and so on of the ring and the events and certain matches, it always kind of worked one way or another. Something WWE or WWF has never done is have a sponsor or advertising on the ring canvas itself. And this plays into what my Hall of Fame is for this week. And that is the WWE presentation of sponsored matches. So we'll begin with the one that I think is most recent in people's minds. And that is the Bray Wyatt LA Knight Mountain Dew match.
The blackout.
It was just over the top, ridiculous, and took away from that contest itself. Watching it back, there are moments where you think, okay, the lighting looks all right, etc., etc. But it was just wrestling isn't subtle. WWE especially isn't subtle. But there was no cleverness with their advertising, no subtlety. It was literally a case of, here's a bottle of Mountain Dew, we're going to shove it down your neck sideways. It's that bigger thing. But what's really triggered this for me is, have you seen the images, Magsy, of the Prime bottle on the ring canvas?
Yes.
Right.
I have.
Now, this again comes back to my issues with this sort of thing with WWE, is that they do everything so well. Their production levels are, nobody can get near them. Their video packages, we talk about it all the time on this show. Their video packages recapping a build-up in a feud. No one can get near them. The celebrities involved and music acts playing people to the ring, and just everything about WWE is just a cut above every other wrestling company in the world, barring in-ring product, because that's objective depending on your own personal taste. But with regards to the presentation, so why, when they finally bit the bullet and decided to advertise on their canvas, which I've not got an issue with, have they done it in such a way that it looks so garish and awful? And I mean, it's just a bottle of Prime stuck on the canvas. It looks fucking terrible. Yeah, you're saying money, Magsy, and of course that's right. But there must be a better way of doing it, even if it's just the Prime logo. The bottle looks garish and horrific. And as crazy as it sounds talking about WWE in this way, it looks amateur to me. It looks almost worse than indie, if that makes sense. But that's kind of where I'm coming from my Hall of Fame, is that why does WWE get these things right when they get everything else so right? Yeah.
And it's actually surprising that they didn't nail this straight away. I mean, I know through history, Vince McMahon was adamant that he would never put advertisement on his ring canvas. He didn't even like putting his own company name on the ring canvas. It's always got to be blank. So this is definitely something that has been influenced by TKO and the UFC, because I don't know how much UFC you actually watch, but there are dozens of adverts on the canvas. Literally, the ring is an octagon, and there's an advert in every single side of the canvas. Plus, there's like lines separating the canvas, so there's multiple adverts in multiple sections. So UFC have certainly got that ring canvas advertising down to a T. So I'm surprised that it didn't translate over to WWE. And like you said, the Prime one does look it looks very, very garish. I suppose that's the whole point of Prime. It looks garish to stand out. But I don't think it ends here. I think we see multiple adverts in multiple sections of the ring, maybe corner adverts and main adverts in the middle. So yeah, I think this is just a testing point to see how it works, see what the backlash is, and it's going to be a future thing, to be fair.
Again, I've got no issues with advertising on the canvas, none at all. Even if it's just the logo of the pay-per-view. I used to like that when we had Halloween Havoc in the middle of the ring or whatever. But this Prime bottle, it looks like shit. It just looks terrible. But there you go. Those are your Hall of Fame entrants this week. We have WrestleMania lengths, I suppose, times,
Run times, yeah.
run times, yeah, and stupid bottles on the canvas. Magsy, shall we scan through the chat and see what people are saying?
We shall. But firstly, I have got a Brucey bonus for this segment.
Ooh.
I wanted to talk to both of you guys. I wanted to talk to you together. I want to talk to you about Hall of Fame. This year is a big year. It's the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania in Philly. You two were there to start it all. You two were in the ring at the very first WrestleMania. That means a lot. It means we wouldn't be where we are today without you guys. And I'd like to tell you today that we are going to induct both of you into the WWE Hall of Fame in Philly.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great honor, obviously. But yeah, it's a great honor. Thank you.
You two are absolute legends in this business, and we're really excited to have you in there.
It's been a great journey, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
watching WWE grow over the years, so it's pretty damn cool to even be part of it in any aspect.
I'm really happy for both of you. You're a big inspiration to me, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Hunter.
Thank you.
We couldn't pass this week without mentioning it, and I know I kind of swerved you in the
Fuck,
chat.
did you ever?
The show when I said I didn't want you mentioning it, and it's because despite my kayfabe disdain for Barry Windham, he was a trailblazer. The guy was legitimately one of the best wrestlers in the world. Former horseman, world champion, pretty much everywhere he went. He looked like what a wrestler should look like. He wrestled like what a wrestler should wrestle like. The guy, as much as this pains me to say, because I know you love me slagging him off, he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And the same with IRS Mike Rotunda. How he's not in there before now is an absolute travesty. So I will give you the floor now to say how happy you are that the 33rd best Barry of wrestling is going into the Hall of Fame before all of the others.
Wow, two-time Hall of Famer Barry Windham.
Yeah, the stalker and the
Wow.
blackjack.
Prick. It's brilliant. I don't want to do IRS Mike Rotunda any shortcomings, ill justice or anything like that. Disservice. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Maxie. Because the guy was fantastic, and I've been watching a lot of old NWA stuff. Surprise, in recent days, and he's popping up on these shows, part of the Varsity Club, and so on. And you forget how good he was before he was IRS. He was absolutely fantastic. Sharon, my wife there, look at the size, happy little face. She's right. But Barry Windham is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. I just think it's a tricky one in a way, because not only is the guy incredible and has so many fantastic matches to his name, there's also a sadness to it in a way for me, because I look at it and think, what could have been? He didn't want to do the traveling involved with the WWF, which is why he kept leaving and going back down south and so on. What if he could have got over that? What if he had the WWF machine behind him? And if the WWF decided, you know what, just being Barry Windham is good enough. We don't need to saddle him with a gimmick or anything like that. I mean, Windham in 87, 88, 89, I think there's only Flair and Steamboat above him in the world. I think he was that good.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of showed the respect that he was held in was the Hurricane post that you sent to me, where Hurricane, who as much as I ragged on him for that post that you showed me, calling him a hurry bitch, I think he has a great man for the business, and he certainly is someone who definitely respects the people that blazed the path for him to be able to walk. And he said that Barry was top 5 wrestler in the world at that time. And I think he's doing him a little bit of a disservice there, because I genuinely think he was top 2, 3 from the stuff that I've watched of him. He was outstanding, and I'll never repeat this again on another show. But he is such a natural talent.
Yeah.
He had an acumen for wrestling that you can't teach. You can learn the basics and you can learn the promo skills, but for him it just came so naturally.
Everything,
the look, the talent. He was born to be a wrestler. It's as simple.
And you look at say 88. I think I might be getting my years muddled up, and I apologize if I am, but 87 into 88 and so on. Yeah, the UWF merger with Jim Crockett Promotions was around that time, so it'd have been 87, 8, and so on. Wyndham was 6'7", 6'8". He's 270, 280 pounds. He's not a small man. But in 88, he was having matches with Ric Flair, who was smaller than him, that were just incredible. Brilliant technical matches that would turn into brawls and all sorts of fantastic stuff they would do. And in the same era, he's wrestling someone like a Bam Bam Bigelow, who's an absolute monster, and having possibly Bam Bam Bigelow's one of the best matches of his career. And again, you come back to certain things the guy would do. Throwing those punches. To me, I hate the likes of The Rock and John Cena because their punches look like shit. Not hate them, but I hate their punches. Sorry, I apologize. Because their punches look like shit and it takes me out of the moment. Wyndham, those punches look legit all the time, regardless of what he's doing. When he threw a clothesline, the lariat, when he'd throw that lariat and flip in the air, and then of course the superplex where he'd float over into a pinfall, all of it was so smooth and so good. And then you look into his later career in the early 90s through to 93 and so on, when he was in WCW then, and a kind of a weak area for WCW in 92 and so on, when Flair had left, and it just so much good he did in the mid card with the likes of Dustin Rhodes, Rick Rude, Sting, and then when they had their New Japan shows as well around that time. So much there. It's well worth literally just typing Barry Windham into YouTube or the WWE Network and just clicking on random matches. It's absolute gold. And I'm over the moon.
Worst nightmare.
Yeah, I'm over the moon. He's going in, and it's also great as well that they're getting recognition for Real American being their entrance music and not Liar Liar Hulk Hogan stealing songs. So there we go.
We'll get to that bastard later on.
We will.
But I think with Barry Windham and Mark Rotunda going in the Hall of Fame, this year's Hall of Fame, which I think is, if I'm right, is the first Triple H based Hall of Fame where Vince hasn't had a lot of input in it. Some of the people going in are people who you think they should have been in 10 years ago.
Oh, Bull Nakano. My word.
Exactly. I mean, Mark Tyson got announced literally just as we were coming on air to be going into.
Is it Tyson? Ali, you mean? Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, not Tyson. Again, a guy who should have been in it decades ago.
Yeah.
So I love that Triple H is looking back at wrestling, not just putting his mates in or people who kind of brown nose Vince McMahon. He's putting in people who made a difference in the business of wrestling. The way he would cap this year's off is if he put Cyndi Lauper in, because if it wasn't for Cyndi Lauper, we probably wouldn't be here as wrestling fans, because she was the catalyst for making wrestling mainstream. So if he puts her in, that'll be the icing on the cake for this year.
With the timing of it, with Mike Rotunda being there and Barry Windham being there, are we looking at Bray Wyatt as the headline of the class?
I feel that that's where we're going to.
Yeah.
I feel that
I hope so.
Yeah.
Shall we scan? Max, I love that. Thanks so much for that. I'd kiss your little Bernie face if you were here with me right now.
Enjoy it, clip it, and save it to your phone, because that praise of Barry Windham will never come from me ever again.
That's going to be my message tone when you text me. What we got in the chat, mate? What we got in the chat?
Yeah, we've got quite a lot, so there's we'll power through these. So Connor starts the night off saying, "Hello, Mags and Sar. Looks like you remember to give the podcasting gods their sacrifice this week." Thank you very much, and Connor, again, thanks for sticking by us whilst we've been chopping and changing and going through the mill and laughing, still popping back. You, Dan, King Pigs Batters, Sharon, and all of y'all, you are absolute stars. So next we go to Dan Griffin saying, "Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to the celebration." We've had that bit now. It's gone. Leave it there. That was the Barry Windham segment for tonight. King Pigs Batters says, "Evening all." Sharon says, "It's Monday night. I forget what that means." I think we all did for a month or so.
Brilliant.
Dan says, "Sai attempting a dramatic leaning, just looking confused." That was the dramatic leaning. It's just the confuseness is just permanently etched on his face. Do you know when you cross your eyes or you pull up on your face and your parents say, "Keep doing it and the wind changes and it'll stay like that"? I think Sai looked confused one day, the wind changed and it just stuck on.
You want to talk about confusion, right? Today
No,
at my
not
new
really.
job. Hang on. Today at my new job.
Your new job as a super spy.
Yeah, I was working with 2 other spies, and I had to show them what to do with this certain thing that we do. And part of my role with this, believe it or not, Magsy, was to actually operate the computer and the systems that they have to print certain things off. I know. So they were doing other things whilst I was doing this, and I had to call my supervisor over because it stopped working. And I couldn't figure out what was going on, and it kept saying error and all this sort of stuff. It turned out that when I put something down, I'd turn the printer off. So it just literally, I just turned it off, and it wasn't.
You with computers is like Homer Simpson when he gets that bird what tips with water in it, it makes it press the Y button all the time.
Yeah,
that's literally what you do. James is in the chat. "Hello, sir. How are you?" And he says, "Evening all. How am you all?" We am doing better, I suppose, is the best thing we can say. Bang Bang Podcast. "Hello, sir." Obviously in the bath, saying, "Welcome back, gentlemen." King Pigs Batter. Wow, just wow. And then we get into my abuse. Here we go. Bray Wyatt of Timu. "What the hell have I walked in on?" Bray Wishart. Fuck you. Jason Lee. "The way Mags is lined up on Randy Savage's abdomen, he looks like Krang with a dead tarantula on his head. Die, Sai, die, tattooed on your arm." Finally, we get into Sharon saying, "Oh my God, the box hasn't recorded maths." That's Married at First Sight.
Yeah, that's actually really bad news because Sharon's really enjoying that at the moment. Oh no.
It's scripted, so we'll leave it at that. Laugh at Dan, the current of the year, Brayish. "The Burnley Turl Battlefield Turf more." Fuck you. Then we get on to you going Lupe. Sharon says he went a bit doolally tat. Doolally tat? What's the tat bit? I know the doolally, but okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
King Pigs Batters, exactly right. Laugh always comes first. Yep, it absolutely does. Until this show starts paying SARS bills, laugh that comes first, definitely. Andy says that 8 o'clock start fits in better with his bath time. We was having a weird conversation. This is a tangent, but Andy and I was having a weird conversation a couple of weeks ago when he was asking for dream WrestleMania matches.
Yeah.
I dare say you've sent in some picks, but he asked me for my picks, and then told me he was in the bath, whilst I was also in the bath at the other end of the country. It was a very weird conversation.
What you don't mention is that you're actually FaceTiming each other.
Yeah, I actually said I am also in the bath, not your bath. I'm in my own bath, a different bath. I'm not hiding like at the plug end.
I'm also in the bath. Andy then checks behind him.
Yeah. I'm there like, with the taps digging in my back. Dan says, "Sad that none of us have anything better to do." No, you are amazing. I mean, you are sad for tuning into this pile of shit every week, but we absolutely adore you for it. Fun fact, SARS never actually watched an episode of Doctor Who. No. Andy with a weird comment, more NDA stuff. Does that like non-disclosure? Oh yeah, because you've gone to you're a spy again, aren't you?
Yeah,
Instead
with my
of
spy
being
pen.
007, you'll
Whoa.
probably be double D7. I would have
Double
thought.
D7.
The name's Powell. Cy Powell. King Pig Banner says that you love Little House on the Prairie.
Nah, I hate that shit.
Sharon says we ended up in debt after his quotation marks.
Down the
Nazis.
docks. Yeah.
He had to pay money back. Sorry, you just weren't entertaining enough.
I don't feel satisfied.
In fact, I feel underwhelmed. Dan Griffin says, can't wait for WrestleMania week. Got 5 days off and spending it all watching wrestling shows. Yeah, but when 7 of those hours are just one show, it's a bit grounded, especially when you have to do the same thing again the very next night. And none of that is as long as the NXT UK taping me and Rob went to in January 2020, which finished about 25 minutes ago. I think that was that when they were taping 4 episodes in a row.
I don't know.
I think it was, yeah. King Pig Banner says, still on your way home from it now, Dan. Dan is Welchter's already. He said he's got to go because Sa brought Chain Wrestling back on a night he'd arranged a Draftomania. Inconsiderate sod. See you all in a bit. King Pig Banner says he loves all Barrys. Well, not all of them. Barry Chuckle. Do we like him?
Yeah, he wasn't a nonce, was he?
No, oh, it's Paul Chuckle who's the prick, isn't it? Yeah. Barry's
Right,
alright.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one's dead?
I think that's
The little
Barry.
one.
Yeah, Barry's dead.
Yeah.
It's a shame because Paul is the prick. He should have been the one that kicked the bucket.
Dude. Okay.
Anyway, Muhammad Ali. I got corrected, Muhammad Ali. Andy says, did that bird that pecked the keyboard got sacked? Yeah, did it explode the nuclear plant? Or almost exploded because it just kept saying yes, yes, yes. Bang, bang. Andy says, I was in his garden though. Yeah, having a bath in his garden. That's me. And I get corrected. All Barrys.
There we go.
He even loves Barry Chuckle. So,
Barry Fry.
Barry Fry was a fucking idiot, but it was funny.
Yeah, okay. Barry Ferguson. He played for Rangers, didn't he?
Yeah, it was not bad.
Yeah, okay.
Gareth Barry.
Does that count? Because Barry's his second name.
Where does it say that he can't? If you were commentating on a match, you wouldn't say his full name, would you? You just say ball pass to Barry. Barry shoots.
Would it be great if he had a kid and his first name was Barry? So it was Barry.
It reminds me of a Jason Manford joke when he's talking about someone who's had a baby and he says, "Oh, what's his name?" He goes, "Barry. Barry the baby. He looks like a Barry."
Well, we said about before, haven't we? About how certain names are dying out. And bang bang Andy there saying Barry from
EastEnders. He died out because he got kicked down a hill by Janine and
a bit of a grass verge. Yeah. But yeah, like a baby Ian or a baby Malcolm or something. You don't get those. Keith, baby Keith. You don't get those anymore, do you?
You should do because they're cool names.
Well, Keith is a cool name, is it?
Can you imagine
Malcolm
nowadays going to school as a teenager and your name being Keith or Barry? You would get and deserve the bullying.
Fair enough. Magsy, we haven't done this for a little while, but shall we dive into our non-wrestling topic?
We shall.
NWT time. Oh, no wrestling talk here. It's the non-wrestling topic.
Lovely.
Nice. Lovely. Nice.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely.
So then, this week's non-wrestling topic was put out many, many, many moons ago, to the point where we almost forgot about it. Oh, do you see what I did there, Max? Do you see what I did there? You having that?
That's when it was put out.
Yes. What does it say there? I can't read that.
The 22nd of February.
Okay, well, that's not that long ago, is it? A couple of weeks? Yeah, that's fine. And it's all about being forgetful. There was a reason for it, wasn't there?
Mhm. It's because you forgot to put out a non-wrestling topic because we switched to Thursdays.
Right. Yes, there we go. So I forgot to put out the non-wrestling topic, so we made it about being forgetful. So it's anything you've forgotten, or if you've been forgotten yourself, etc., etc. And it's funny you mentioned the name Keith, Magsy, because we dove straight into that. I'll read them out in the order they came into us, of course. MGB Graham at MGB Graham on Twitter. He says, with the sad passing of Ewan McIntosh, the actor who played Keith in The British Office, I remembered how funny the job appraisal scene was, but I'd forgot how funny when Keith is dressed up as Ali G and advising Dawn about her trip to America. Just brilliant.
Yeah, I was actually floored when I heard about this. I think it was actually this post that kind of woke me up to the fact that he passed away. He was only 50 years old.
That's mad, isn't it?
And he had a lot of chronic illnesses, and he was actually in a care home because he was that severely ill. But
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but the way that he was so deadpan with his comedy, I found his character absolutely brilliant. Really, just the kind of guy who has no filter with what he says, but he just plays it off perfectly. And yeah, it's a massive shame that he's gone so young. So yeah, it's a sad that happened.
The one that always stands out to me from The Office, because that's the only thing I really know him from. I don't know if he was a stand-up or a comedian and other things himself. I'm not sure. I literally only know the guy from The Office. But the one that always gets me is it's almost like this picture in front of us here. He's in the distance in a conversation like this, and they're eating their lunch, and he is talking about going out on dates and how he gets ladies to come back to his and so on. And he basically says, I guarantee them at least one orgasm, and then takes a massive bite out of his Scotch egg. It's just fantastic.
And that and the scene that Graham mentions about the appraisal, where he's literally been given a form of how he thinks his job's going, and he just puts "don't know" for every single answer. And then there's one that he hasn't answered. He gets the question read to him about 4 or 5 times, and he still, once the option's given to him, yes, no, or don't know, and he still goes with don't know. It's absolutely brilliant. Great character.
And he under strengths he put accounts, and Ricky Gervais is like, that's your job.
That's your job.
Like, yeah. Oh, it's so
brilliant.
good. So good. Speaking of The Office, it's Steve-O time at EliteFPL_Steve-O on Twitter. He says, I've on 3, maybe 4 occasions forgot my keys to the house and had to get a ladder to climb through my window. That's borrowing from various neighbors. I remember in my old Volkswagen, I forgot to pick up and left the keys in the car and locked myself out. Oh dear. I had to wait an hour for the RAC. Oh man.
If he was able to lock himself out, he should have just got a tennis ball and popped the lock.
How'd you do that?
So if he's locked himself out of a car, I'm assuming it's because he's had a physical lock on the door, what you press down and then close the door.
Right.
Now, cars did have a built-in feature where if you did that, the lock would automatically pop up. But if you didn't, you get a tennis ball cut in half, and you put it over the lock, and you use the air pressure to force the pin back up.
I have never heard that. Look at that. I'm learning something today.
Yeah.
That's
from the burglary days. Yeah. From the Grand Theft Auto days. Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto. Steve-O continues. When I had the WWE Network, watching Attitude Era, I forgot how incredible The Rock and Austin were on the mic, plus how funny and brilliant Austin versus McMahon was.
Yeah. He's right.
Yeah. Are we going to get all that cancelled and took away from us now because of what McMahon's like?
I know he's been basically blurred out of new game, hasn't it? WWE 2K24. Yeah, and they did it with Chris Benoit. They basically, he's a person non grata. They don't mention.
But you can still
I hope-
watch Benoit matches, can't you?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
the thing.
hopefully it's there. But you look back on some of the stuff that McMahon did in that Attitude Era, and it looks way more sinister now. I mean, the whole storyline of him and Trish,
Terrible.
him perving over all the newcomers from WCW, like Stacey Keebler and Tori Wilson. It looks, at the time, it was, I suppose, it was the done thing, but now it's took on such a much more evil tone, hasn't it? Knowing what is the allegations against him say. So will they take him out? Perhaps. I mean, they've took stuff out that make no sense. I mean, they took out the Rock concert. I have no idea why.
Yeah, why was that?
So if they're willing, I have no idea. If they're willing to edit stuff like that out, it wouldn't shock me at all if they didn't edit out some of the Vince stuff. But then it's such an intrinsical part of that era of wrestling that I don't know how it would go.
Yeah, that Attitude Era, you obviously had different storylines up and down the card, but McMahon and Austin dominated the show from start to finish.
Yeah,
they were all the way. They were, the blueprint. They ran through everything, didn't they?
Yeah. So you take away one of the biggest characters from that era, it's not going to make sense.
No,
you're only going to be watching half of the story.
Oh dear. Steve-O continues. I've occasionally forgotten to hit record when doing some podcasts. Oh,
who hasn't done that?
But the worst was recording an hour-long Patreon pod and somehow forgot to save. Oh dear. An hour. And do you know what's bad when you do that as well? It's that thing of knowing you kind of got to do it again. That's the worst part for me. Knowing you've got to do it again.
There is something that is slightly worse than that. It's when you have recorded it, but your guest audio doesn't come through. So you have to re-record that, because that's happened to me. I've mentioned it on the show before, but UTT Rob and I sat down and did about 4 hours of recording, and his audio didn't come through whatsoever. So it was unusable. So we recorded the whole 4 hours over and over again. So, yeah, so that was fun.
Oh, dear me. Pig Splatters, our good friend on Twitter, he says, I don't think I've ever been forgotten. As Si will attest, once you meet me, I'm hard to forget. Very true. Very true. As it goes, I've forgotten loads of stuff over the years. Now I would give examples, but I'm still trying to remember what I've forgotten. Fair enough.
Exactly. I mean, you get to the point where you forget more stuff than you actually remember.
Yeah.
I'm getting to that point.
Yeah, I forget everything, mate. I'm terrible. I'm so bad.
Yeah. I forget words. I genuinely now getting to the point where I forget. I'll be talking and I can't remember the correct word to use in certain situations. And then I have to make up a word or a phrase that means that one word that I'm trying to say. It's annoying.
Do you know what's really funny as well? That with me and Sharon, if I forget something in particular and I am in that scenario, she will always know what I'm on about. So for argument's sake, there's I say, well, can we put on such and such a TV program when I get in from work, or can I put on the whatever, right? But I can't remember what the TV program's called. So I'll say to her, oh, do you want to watch, that thing I like with the bloke? And she'll go, oh yeah, okay. And then she'll put it on because she knows exactly what I mean straight away.
Yeah. Because you're a simple creature with simple tastes.
There we go. Ben at Largely Speaking on Twitter. If you have not heard yet, Ben has joined the Nitro Knights team. Obviously, Nitro Knights, similar to the Doctor Who pod, the Waiting Room, Chain Wrestling, etc., 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 have all sort of fallen to the wayside for a week or so, but they are all coming back again. Don't worry about that. Ben has joined the Nitro Knights team, and we're having a bloody great time talking WWE. Ben is fantastic on that show, and he says, I was once on the phone to my wife, and I totally forgot where my phone was. Cue frantic searching, only for a calm voice in my ear to say, you're on it to me. 12 o'clock right here.
I've done that. Rung up the missus to see if she knows where her phone is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a pillow.
Brilliant. Matt Butler at Trey Butler on Twitter. I sort of forgot to plan anything big for Mrs. Wife's 30th. Oh dear. I can't remember what I did. I can remember though that she was significantly underwhelmed. We need more information, my friend.
Yeah, you can't just leave it at that. But that's bad. If there's one thing you don't forget, it's the wife's birthday.
Indeed.
But before you move to the next one, it was recently our birthdays. Our birthdays are pretty close in time.
Yeah, yours the same day as Liv's, isn't it?
The 2nd, yeah. No, the 8th.
The 8th. Did you forget your own birthday then, Max?
No, I was thinking of the wife's birthday, which is the 2nd, of my birthday is the 8th, and then yours is a few days after.
Yes.
But I forgot the exact date of your birthday. So I had to search because I didn't want to look a cunt and say happy birthday to you on the wrong day or to be late. So I actually went on Twitter, looked for your account and searched for the word birthday to find out when your birthday was.
Fantastic.
So I didn't look a pillock.
See, yours is the same day as Liv.
Yeah, so you've got a reminder. My reminder for yours is it's just after mine sometime.
Ben Murphy on Twitter at Merp78248879. I think this is the first time this person's tweeted into the show, so thank you so much for that. Forgot to lock my front door when I left to visit my family for 11 days.
Oh, you do that in Burnley, you're not coming up. Someone else lives in that house.
Jeez, what'd you do there then? I mean, it must be. I mean, we're quite fortunate because if me and Sharon, I've got that thing again. It's my OCD and it drives Sharon mad again. But I've got to do certain things when I leave the house. I've got to do certain things when I go up to bed, and I've got to do them in a certain order. If I check the door, or whoever locks the door when I'm in the car, and I don't see them check the door, I've got to check it again.
Mm-hmm.
But if that process gets interrupted, I've then got to check it again. Right? Now, there's occasions where... Oh, it's terrible. There's occasions where we've left and we've been driving somewhere. And I'm like, is that front door locked? But I know, because Sharon's mum has a key, if we go on holiday or something, we can just say to Sharon's mum, nip round, make sure the door's locked.
Yeah, we have that with our neighbours. We have a really good relationship with our neighbours. We have their key and they have our key. So if anything happens like that, we can always just message each other and do that. But many a time I've left the building without locking the door because I'm a fucking idiot.
I honestly, the panic. Again, going to bed at night, I'll be led in bed. I know I've checked it, but I will have to get up. Even if Sharon is downstairs still watching television, I have to physically get out of bed and go downstairs and check I've shut the fridge and the freezer.
That's
because it's
I can't help that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, and even though I know Sharon will be making herself a cup of tea again, so she will open the fridge and shut it again. But that's not the point. I've got to go and check it.
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, I'm broken.
You are.
Speaking of things that are broken, Dan Griffin at DanGriffin21 on Twitter, he says, once walked into a McDonald's and the guy behind the counter recognized me. Is that just because you're in McDonald's a lot, though?
Oof, that felt like a real dig at poor Dan Griffin.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
He has left the show, so you can dig at him all you want now.
No, you walk into the same shop all the time. You walk into the same bar all the time. The people who work there are going to recognize you. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's fair, but they wouldn't come round and shake your hand.
No, this is true. Yeah, I'll read the rest of his comment. Good shout, Max. Yeah. I got so sidetracked by my own self. The guy behind the counter recognized me, Dan says, came round, shook my hand, called me by name, started talking about a mad night out a couple of weeks before, reeling off pubs we've been to, daft things going on, even gave me 3 burgers. No idea who he was.
And he even gives some context because Lauren, who's messaged into the show before, says, "Was this in Newcastle after North Wrestling? Oh God, is this the answer to the missing 35 minutes?" And he says, "No, this was in York." So this happens to him on a regular basis. It feels like. I think his name was Dean, so he got free burgers from a guy, but still hasn't really remembered his name. He's guessing that his name was Dean, and he hasn't seen him since.
Oh, it's a shame. I hope Dean listens to the
remains. Yeah, can you imagine? Dean's just fucking fuming on watching this. Like, he's forgotten me again. The fucking twat. No free burgers for him.
Oh, I picture it more so that Dean is in the kitchen at McDonald's listening to the audio version of this right now in his little earbuds in his corner, his hairnet pulled down over it so he doesn't lose his earbud, flipping a few burgers, single tear rolling down his cheek, mortified because Dan's forgotten him again. Bang Steve at Von Tugboat on Twitter. He says, "I think I forgot to call Bang Bang Andy a cunt one time. Maybe I'm wrong though."
I don't believe that for a second. No. I think you've called it in multiple times on every single episode. So
yeah, most likely.
That is a lie there, Von Tugbot, you Belmer.
You Belmer? What's a Belmer?
Someone who tells lies.
I've never heard that before.
It may be a northern thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Where we speak the proper English.
Okay. Proper English, are you sure? With all your tits and butts and all that sort of nonsense.
Rude.
And finally, from Twitter, unless I have missed any out, Magsy, we have at Ori the Draw. And this really does age how long ago we put the non-wrestling topic
out. It very much does.
Ori says, she forgot that TNA No Surrender was Friday, tomorrow in brackets, until I saw an advert on Twitter on Monday. Well, there we go. So, well, there we are, Maxie. There we are.
So, at least Twitter has got one good use, and that's remembering when wrestling pay-per-views are on.
This is very true. This is very true. Maxie, what sort of things have you forgotten?
Oh, I think a lot of mine have been covered in being very similar to the stuff from the CWF. Things like leaving a building without locking the doors. We've driven halfway across the country and I've left things like my wallet at home, or we once had to go to Liverpool to get a fast track passport, and we forgot all the paperwork for that, so we had to go back. But I think the best one is we once went to a concert, and I think it was Kanye West, and we left. It was in Manchester, and we left the tickets at home, so we couldn't also go to that. So yeah, I forget everything, people's names. I've had conversations with people who full-blown conversations, kind of like Dan with the burger thing, but like really having deep, long conversations. And then Lorena said to me, "Oh, who's that?" And I'm like, I got a fucking clue. I've never seen them before in my life. Clearly I have, but I've just got such bad memory. And since being on sertraline for the doulaliness, my memory's got 10 times worse. And I literally forget everything. It's horrible. It's horrific. It's the one bad side effect of sertraline, that your memory is horrific.
Wow. I've had the scenario of forgetting people that I've supposedly been out drinking with. And also I forget a lot of people that were involved in the football side of things. Me and Shai ran a club for many years, so we had many players come and go who played for us. But of course you get familiar with opposition players and coaches and all that as well. Our Lives has been with me in town numerous times. And I said, "God, you know everyone, don't you?" Because I can't walk from one end of town to the other without blokes going, "All right, Si, how's it going? Oh, yeah, Si, how's it going?" I have no idea who any of these people are. None of them. Absolutely none of them. There's one here. He lives, I think, literally one street over. So he must say hello to me 5-6 times a week. Whenever I'm walking to the shop, I see him. No idea who the fucker is. No idea whatsoever.
But you do get to the point where if you ask...
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
You look like a proper arsehole.
Yeah.
So you've just got to play along. So they'll get called mate, buddy, pal, because you'll have to burgle his house one day and rob some of his money to find out what his name
Yeah.
is.
One of the worst, though, I don't know if I've told this before on the podcast. I think I may well have. Apologies if I'm repeating myself. But when I was back at my parents' house, when I was, say, 17, 18, 19, etc., maybe just touching 20, and I was, shall we say, I mean, Sharon has a term for my behaviour towards ladies and so on in that era. Sharon says that's the men from the night shifts. Brilliant. I was back at my parents for a while. You meet a young lady on a night out, and you wouldn't particularly want the evening to end when the club closed. So you know, as you do. The one horrific occurrence was I woke up at my parents' house. I had brought a young lady home with me. I woke up, she wasn't there. I thought she'd gone to the bathroom potentially or whatever. Couple of minutes passes by. Somebody else goes in the bathroom, comes out. I'm like, okay, maybe not then. So I ponder, just think, okay, no idea where she is. I go downstairs. She sat having a cup of tea with my mum. I couldn't remember her name.
How did you get away with that?
My dad, very, very quickly, bless him, twigged quite early on that I could not remember.
Well, it was when you were like,
yeah, and in brilliant fashion, that is just my dad all over. Didn't try and help me out in the slightest. He basically tried to
introduce us, Sam, to your
all of that,
friend.
dropping me in the shit left, right, in the center. I blagged and blagged and blagged as quickly as I could for what felt like hours, but it's probably only just 10 minutes before I managed to get her out of the house and get her towards whatever bus stop it was I had to drop her off at. So
your dad is amazing. That is amazing.
Not a good look. Not a good look. But there we go. That is this week's non-wrestling topic. Thank you so much, everybody, for getting involved on Twitter. Sharon in the chat there saying, Simon, you asked me if it was Mag's birthday. There we go. Look, I'm getting caught out.
You're a twat as well, then, for not even remembering my birthday. When you have a physical reminder of when it is.
Well, I couldn't remember if your birthday was the same as my daughter's or my nan's, because my nan is the 7th, my daughter's is the 8th. But now I know. It's the 7th. Is there anything else in the chat there, Magsy, before we talk a little bit of wrestling?
So King Pig Palace says that Vince is still in bits of 2K24, just blurred out of more. So it's a game that I haven't played since. I think the last one I got was 2K13. Just when it started being hyper realistic, it was just not a game for me. So anyway, thanks for informing, correcting me on that. Amazing. Sharon says you literally say that thing I like with the bloke in it as well.
Yeah,
amazing. And then King Pig Banner says because he works in retail, he gets exactly the same from the local customers. Yeah, so that's the chat all caught up with.
Awesome stuff, mate. Awesome stuff. We've got 4, yes, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 wrestling matches to look at. Thankfully, they're quite short, though. Shall we dive on into it, Mags?
Let's go for it.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Magsy won the poll many, many moons ago.
Just going to say a long time ago.
And selected effectively WrestleMania 4 or Randy Savage's WrestleMania 4. Now, going into this WrestleMania, there were some shenanigans with the World Heavyweight Championship in the WWF. What? This ended up with the title being vacated and a one-night knockout tournament being staged at WrestleMania 4 to decide the new champion. There is a fuck ton of blokes on this card, Mags, isn't there? A ridiculous amount of matches.
I think that was the 14 entrants into the actual tournament, and then other matches interspersed between the shows. Yeah, there was so much wrestling to get through. But the good thing is, it was very short. I don't think there's one match that went. Oh no, I think Demolition versus Strikeforce is just over 10 minutes. But before that, there was a time limit draw as well, isn't there? the Jake Roberts and Rick Rude goes to a talent draw, so that's 15 minutes. So there's only 2 matches that go over 10 minutes. So it's a lot of very quick, basic. Let's not beat around the bush. Basic wrestling in this WrestleMania, and you can understand why it's not one of the most high-regarded WrestleManias, despite the fact that Randy Savage is crowned the world champion afterwards. It's very lackluster.
Yeah, it is. What are your thoughts on tournaments then? One-night tournaments like this, or like a King of the Ring, for argument's sake? Because Vince McMahon famously doesn't like them, and I can see his thought process behind it. You hear people like Bruce Pritchard and Jim Ross talking on their podcasts and saying that this situation, for example, the main event of the show is going to be the tournament final. They can't advertise what the main event is because they don't know they know, but they can't advertise who's going to be in the main event yet. And McMahon doesn't like being able to not advertise his main attraction. Hence, I suppose why Andre Hogan was one of the earlier rounds, so we could advertise that at least. What are your thoughts on that? Because apparently it does hurt the pay-per-view buy rate.
Yeah, I mean, from a business standpoint, I can understand that. You need your marquee match to be front and center of your advertising. But from a fan perspective, I think it all depends on the tournament. And what I mean by that is, I think when you get to the point where you're having 4 rounds of matches on one night, that's too much. But if you're having maybe quarterfinals, semi-finals, and a final, so you're a maximum of 7 matches, that kind of works. I mean, the older King of the Rings, I think, work well because you're not looking at 16 matches, you're looking at 7 or 8, and then maybe a title match main event. So I think in that context, for me as a fan, it works because you get the excitement of maybe you don't know what matches are going to get thrown up, and it takes away from it being so scripted. But this goes too far that way. You can, with the fact that there's 14 entrants, the matches aren't given enough time to breathe. They are very rushed. The wrestling is basic. There's not a lot of time to get a story told within the match. So I think it does let the tournament down. I think you have to have it condensed so each match gets to be able to tell its own story. But I'm not against one night tournaments. I think they can be an exciting way to round off a pay-per-view. But I do get the business side where you have to advertise the tournament rather than this superstar wrestler versus this superstar wrestler.
Yeah. The two that instantly spring to mind, WrestleMania 4 aside, for me, is King of the Ring 93. I think that pay-per-view is as close to perfect with that format as they can possibly get. And here's my amazing wife dropping off a cup of tea right now. Thank you, Shah. King of the Ring 93, I think, is as close to perfection with that format as you can get. All the matches are long enough to tell a bit of a story, unless, of course, they have to be quick squashes for whatever reason. Bret Hart is incredible in that tournament, and you do get the marquee match of Hogan Yokozuna for the title. I suppose it is helped by what's around it as well, because it's the only pay-per-view in 93 worth watching, because all the rest are complete shite. The second one that pops to my mind is the Deadly Game, the Survivor Series.
That, I would say is the best.
Was it?
Was it? Yeah, I think it was 98.
Yeah.
That is the best story told in a tournament for me, with the whole swerve and Mankind being the chosen one and getting all the perks of being Vince McMahon's boy, and then the swerve at the end with The Rock. That's a great tournament. Really well told story. Yeah,
you watch the show. The show tells a story from start to finish, doesn't it? It's but at the same time, you can't advertise that. You can't promise people that without giving it away, can you?
Yeah. You can't. You have to telegraph your results.
Yeah, of course. This is the first of 2 WrestleManias at the Trump Plaza. it begins with a little one-armed bandit, I suppose. The graphics there of the gambling machine, and again, it's very of its time. What is it? 88, isn't it? It's very of its time, very 80s graphics, and then cuts to the venue, which is lit up in a certain way. But I think that beginning of this pay-per-view looks bloody fantastic. It just looks glorious as the old classic WrestleMania logo is hanging around as well. I really liked that, Magsy.
Yeah, I agree. And then the one thing that I desperately disliked about this pay-per-view is the fact that wrestlers had to come down the stairs.
Yes.
That fucking pissed me off. I mean, you knew that WrestleMania was going to be there. Build an entrance ramp or a way for the wrestlers to not essentially have to walk through the bloody crowd. They looked like they were invading from another federation. It was ridiculous.
I'll tell you what, actually, there's one moment that we'll come to later. I've got a note about it where it actually works for me, but we'll come to that.
I think I know the moment.
I expect you do. I expect you do. We begin then with Randy Savage's first match of the night, and he is facing Butch Reed. This goes just a smidge over 5 minutes. Savage and Miss Elizabeth come out wearing blue, and this is a running theme. They change their outfits for every match, but they match each time.
No, they change. She changes her outfits and matches. He changes his bloody his robe. He has 4 different robes, but yet only two different actual ring gears, which that annoyed me as well, because he had the kind of like pinkish ones and then the orange ones.
Yeah.
If you're going to go with 4 outfit changes, have 4 outfit changes, not 2.5.
Oh, see, I loved it. I loved looking at Liz in the dress. I mean, first of all, Elizabeth, I know it goes without saying, doesn't it? But what a beautiful woman. Absolutely gorgeous, stunning. And the different dresses that she's wearing that go along with Macho Man's gowns and so on. I loved all that.
No, yeah, it looked cool. And then he took off his robe and he was wearing the same spandex that he'd wrestled in 2 matches previously.
Fair point. It's quite punchy, kicky, Mags, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do when you've got 5 minutes? And I get why the matches were so short, especially for Savage. He was going you keep matches slow, but what confused me was he looked like the weak one in the match. It was pretty much Butch Reed taking control for the majority of the match, and I don't know whether that was to build Savage as like the ultimate underdog, but for me, he would have always been one of the favorites in this tournament anyway. So I don't get why they went with that. Maybe it was to kind of keep the surprise of him not being the winner by having to eke his way through the first round against Butch Reed, who I believe wasn't actually long for the company after this. He left, didn't he, to go back to the NWA. So yeah, I mean, it was a 5-minute match. What can you do in a 5-minute match? There was elbows, clotheslines,
couple of fist drops.
Yeah, it was. I kind of like telegraphed my thoughts about this. It was very underwhelming wrestling because of the time constraints.
With Savage, though, effectively being dominated by his opponent, that is something that we've seen a great deal of on Nitro Nights, with when Savage is a babyface and effectively just spends the whole of his match getting his ass kicked, regardless of who his opponent is, and then hits one axe handle, the elbow, and wins. Yeah. So maybe this is a Savage thing. I don't know.
It could well be. I mean, he was known for booking his own matches and practicing his matches to the nth degree. So perhaps it was his call that he wanted to look like the perennial underdog babyface. It just, you think of Randy Savage and then you think of Butch Reed, and these two people should not be on the same level.
No.
As much as what Butch Reed achieved in wrestling, not taking away from that, but Savage was a mega star, and Butch Reed was a mid carder at best. So
Yes, yeah,
it kind of didn't make sense that Savage didn't take the lead in this match, but Savage eked his way through with the flying elbow, and on we go.
Are we marking each of these out of 10 and then giving our overall?
Yeah, we can do. Jumping
4.
the gun a bit. You're giving this a 4.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even a 4.
Do you not? I'm being generous. I'm in a good mood.
I think 3 maximum. 1 because of the time length. 2 because it just felt odd. Savage being dominated. It's a nothing match. It is absolutely a nothing match. So 3. We are going a bit early with the predicted. You've thrown me a little bit there, but
sorry, mate.
But yeah, 3. I'll give it a 3.
Okay.
I don't think there's one outstanding match. I'm sorry to cut you off, but as much as I love Randy Savage, the guy's is phenomenal. There's not one really outstanding match on this whole show. Never mind just Savage.
Next up is Greg Valentine for Randy. This goes a smidge over 6 minutes.
And Greg Valentine got the fucking jobber entrance.
Yeah.
So many wrestlers actually got the jobber entrance on this show. It is so sad.
It is. But Greg Valentine did a lot of good stuff. But even here in 88, those days are behind him, aren't they? We're talking his
He
NWA
looks like
stuff.
he looks exactly like how he looked in the crowd at AEW. Literally last year.
Like shit, you mean?
No, but his hair was poofed up exactly the same. He looked like a middle-aged Karen. He did look weird that he didn't have knee or elbow pads on. That fucking
I hate that. It's just a bloke in his pants. If you don't wear you wear knee pads, you're a wrestler. No knee pads, you're a bloke in your pants.
But it's not just a bloke in his pants. He had his boots on as well. So he's a bloke who couldn't even be asked to take his boots off after coming home from work. He just whopped his pants off and just sat there stewing. Yeah. He looks horrible. Oh, it just pisses me off.
This is faster than the previous match. It begins quite quickly. We have a lot of forearms by Greg Valentine in this match. One wobbly looking one from the top rope and so on. A lot of elbow drops by Greg Valentine as well. That was kind of his forte, though, Magsy, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And then a pretty good shoulder breaker as well. I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, out of the matches that led up to the final, I think that this was arguably the best one.
Yeah.
6 minutes, again, not a huge amount of time, but there were little hints of stories being told in this. The fact that Greg was desperate to put the figure 4 on, and Randy was even more desperate to keep out of it, and the way that Greg went to the well one too many times for the finish, and Savage was able to counter into a small package. I thought that was all right, but it's a 6-minute match. What more can you say, and how do you rate a match so short with such basic wrestling in it?
I liked the way that both guys were going for a lot of covers, though. At least they were trying to win the match after pretty much every offensive move, especially Valentine. He'd hit an elbow cover, hit a forearm cover. I liked that because they're trying to win the match, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, this was probably, out of the 3 matches leading up to the final, this was probably the best one of the lot.
Yeah. As you mentioned as well, Savage obviously wins by countering the figure 4 attempt into a small package or a cradle attempt, I suppose. This was better than the previous match, but still not brilliant. So it's a 4.5 for me, Magsy.
I think I agree. I don't think it's good enough for a 5, but it's not as bad as a 4. So yeah, 4.5 seems fair.
What comes next is probably the worst of the 4 matches we're looking at today. and it's Savage taking on the one-man gang. This is also the shortest. It goes 4 minutes 5 seconds. Savage and Elizabeth are now out in black outfits, looking pretty damn cool. The one-man gang has had a bye in the previous round, so that again makes Savage the underdog, and you got the size factor, and that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and again though, that was another thing that pissed me off. They brought, when there was a bar.
Why did you choose this if all it's going to do is make you angry?
I think it was the rose-colored glasses of Savage becoming world champion. But
right, okay.
When the wrestlers received a bar, they brought them out to the ring to announce that they had a bar. So they brought them out to the ring to send them back out afterwards. It's just, it took the piss. It absolutely took the piss. Like, there was one point where a wrestler got a bar. I think it was Ted DiBiase, and then he was like in the ring, and Fink says Ted DiBiase has a bar to the next round, and then the people who he will be fighting against in the next round both come out and they cross paths whilst he's leaving and they're coming in. It was just fucking annoying, properly annoying. The production on this show was horrific. Absolutely horrific. There's a tag match with Demolition and Strikeforce. I mean, nothing to do with our review, but Strikeforce started coming out whilst Demolition's song was still fucking playing. It was just ridiculous. Yeah.
Is this the pay-per-view where Strikeforce split up?
No, I think this is where they lost the title, but then Tito got injured for a while, and then when they come back, they split up after that.
Okay.
Yeah,
they were good, Strikeforce, weren't they?
Yeah, were they?
Yes.
As separate wrestlers, they were all right, I suppose. But Anne was never a massive Strikeforce fan as a tag team. Yeah, they weren't my boys.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Savage does the sort of running, jump over the top rope and hang your opponent move, but he does this by holding on to one man gang's beard. I got a big kick out of that. That tickled me. I thought that was good.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably the highlight of a
oh yeah, it was the only thing that happened.
crap match. I mean, one man gang couldn't even do the tie up in the ropes properly. He gets hit, and I think it's only with an elbow, and he stumbles halfway across the ring backwards to fall into the ropes. And I don't think he could make his mind up whether he was falling out of the ring or he was doing the whole kind of Andre the Giant leaning between the ropes, and then his arms get trapped. So he just ends up sitting on the second rope, arse out of the ring, legs in the ring, and Savage has to essentially smack him so he falls out of the ring. It was just one man gang, God love him. He was a shit wrestler, weren't he? The guy was wank.
The finish for this is wobbly as fuck as well, isn't it?
Again, another thing that pissed me off. Absolutely pisses me off.
It's all bollocks with Slick is there. He's the one man gang's manager, and he's got his cane, and he starts having to go at Elizabeth, which makes Elizabeth stand up on the apron.
Very rapey. Felt very rapey.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look, was it?
No.
Then we end up with Slick on the other side of the ring, and one man gang gets his cane. He then tries to hit Savage 2 or 3 times, and Savage rolls out the way. The referee finally sees what's going on.
Slow as well. He tried to hit him.
So bad.
And Savage could have rolled out of the ring, but he doesn't actually make contact. And then the ref disqualifies him, even though he's not witnessed any attack with that cane whatsoever. And he only gets hit with it afterwards. And then Gorilla Monsoon says, oh no, Jesse Ventura says, he's broken the cane over Savage's back. But the cane is in one piece. It hasn't broke at all. Fucking bullshitter. I hate this pay-per-view. I fucking hate it. I regret this.
This is a 1 out of 10 for me, Magsy.
It's a 0. Fuck this match.
I've got my little mixer board down here ready for when I start doing a little bit of radio stuff, I can record snippets on it and then have them like press the button and it replays them. I wish I could have got you saying "fuck this match." Then I could try and
I
sample
can
that.
happily repeat it. Make me watch this match again, and I will repeat those words.
I'm going to
verbatim.
sample that, and I'm going to have it as one of these little buttons that I press, and it's just going to go "fuck this match" every time I press it. It's going to be great.
There's just so many things about this whole pay-per-view, not just the Savage matches, but this whole pay-per-view that pissed me off. That Bob Uecker, what a pervert. His whole storyline was perving over Vanna White. Oh, Hogan, the cheating heel, the heel Hogan, all the way gets disqualified in his match. Oh, I want to burn this pay-per-view to the ground.
What are your thoughts on the theory that WrestleManias are only good on alternate years? Because when it starts, WrestleMania 1 is deemed as being good, 2 is shit, 3 is good, 4 is shit, 5 is good, and so on. Does that play out for you in future years as well?
No, I don't think so. I think WrestleMania 14 was good.
Okay.
WrestleMania 18 was good. I mean, WrestleMania 16, that's WrestleMania 2000, that was gash.
15 wasn't very good.
Yeah, but then it still breaks your alternate rule because it's the odd ones that seem to be good. But was WrestleMania 3 good, really? Or is it just the spectacle of Hogan slamming Andre on a...
You got Steamboat Savage.
Yeah, but every WrestleMania has at least one decent-ish match. Apart from this WrestleMania, this has no decent match. Well, no, I tell you what, the next match we're going to cover is not bad.
It's not good
until it's for the amount of time it gets. It's not bad until we get to the finish, and that pisses me off.
So the main event of the evening, the unadvertised tournament final for the WWF Championship, Macho Man Randy Savage against the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. It goes 9 minutes 27 seconds. Savage and Elizabeth are out wearing white on this occasion. Mm-hmm. Andre is with Ted DiBiase, and I like again, not long, it's 9 minutes, but the little story they're trying to tell, I think works until you look at it from the aspect of they're crowning a new champion for the first time. Mm-hmm. With regards to Andre interfering quite a bit from the outside, and then Liz having to go and get help. That I can appreciate that in its own right, in its own story. It's a clever little story to tell if it was a TV match or a mid-card match or a different pay-per-view and Savage was defending the title. But here, where they're crowning the champion, I don't like this.
I understand, especially when it's a champion who has never been champion before. If this was like a multi-time champion, you could kind of understand it. But the fact that it's the coming out party for Randy Savage, yeah, it's a bit, it's a lot underwhelming. And the fact that he has to go, he only wins the match because of the intervention of Hulk Hogan as well. The fucking politicking orange wanker. He can't not be in the part of the main event. He just has to hog the glory, doesn't he? He's just a shithead.
Now, I 100% agree with you on this. 100%. But just playing devil's advocate here, this match is dead. The crowd are silent. They're not responding to Savage, and they're chanting for Hogan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He is still the star at this point, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hogan was wrestling at that time, especially for the WWF. He was the guy. But if it's hard to kind of explain. I think this plays into part of my Hall of Blame, that the show was so long that this crowd are exhausted.
Yeah.
Like mentally exhausted. This is the fourth time that Savage has been in a match for the first 2 matches, he gets massive pops. So I don't think it's that the crowd are not happy with Savage being in the final. It's the fact that the crowd are tired and they're so indoctrinated with Hogan being in that picture that him not being there is odd, and that's because of his politicking. So yeah, it is his fault.
Do you think maybe overexposure plays into it? Savage has wrestled 4 times at this stage now. Is that is that too much? And that there is okay, we've seen this now, and that's why the crowd are a bit.
Again, you bang on the money when you mentioned in your Hall of Fame about tournaments maybe being too long and not being able to advertise your main event. Yeah, this is too long. This is too many tournament matches on one night. It is overexposure. The crowd have already used up their Savage pops, I suppose. So yeah, it's a massive factor.
At the beginning, though, we have some actual wrestling. And I think the opening minute or 2 of this match, where you have some hammerlocks and then headlock exchanges and counters back again and top wrist locks, that 60 seconds, that 90 seconds is better than everything we've already discussed.
Yes.
The previous 3 matches. That on its own beats everything we've already seen. And then we get the Hogan chance because Andre trips Savage again. DiBiase is in control at this point, as is the way. We've seen it with every match so far that Savage takes a beating from the heels.
Yeah.
We do get quite a cool moment, though, I suppose, even though it leads to the shit. We do get quite a cool moment where DiBiase is on the outside and Savage climbs to the top rope to deliver that axe handle from the top rope to the floor, which he gave one man gang earlier in the night and various other matches. And again, for the time, this looks spectacular. It was a big old drop for a guy that size. And Andre just stands in the way so that Savage can't get to him. So clever, so simple, but so clever. But this then does, of course, lead to Elizabeth running backstage and fetching some help, Maxie, doesn't it? And I'm just going to sit back now.
Especially when Savage gets her onto the apron and says, "Go get Hulk. I can't deal with these 2 on my own. Tell Hulk I need him." Fuck off.
I was going to say, I'm just going to sit back and let you go, because I imagine you got a lot to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, ordinarily, especially in a title match, I'm not one for the outside interference. It annoys me. Let the 2 guys show who's the best. But I was actually fond of Andre getting involved because it led into the whole storyline of Andre's contract being bought by $1 million man, led into the whole backstory of this tournament where Andre was the champion and then sold the title on to Ted DiBiase. So it made sense in the storyline point of view. And Andre is one of those wrestlers is so much larger than life that him getting involved, it didn't offend me. But it did offend me when they had to send for Hogan. Savage has been in 3 matches where he was fighting from underneath. He was the underdog, and he was able to, through by hook or by crook, manage his way through. Why did it need in the final, when it was his crowning moment, for him to go and get shithead orange twat Hulk Hogan to come and help him? That's because Hogan said to Vince, "You know what, brother? I need to be in this main event. So Savage can't win a match by himself. I need to be the one that comes out and helps him." And then he does his typical heely bullshit because he's not a face, he's a fucking heel. And he basically twats DiBiase in the back with a chair. Does the face do that? No, they do not. They absolutely do not. So this tosser has always been a heel. He just suckered everyone into believing that he was the face of the company when he wasn't. He was a twat. He was a twat then. He's still a twat now.
Okay. He suckered everyone in apart from Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan knew. Yeah,
exactly. He was right from all along. He had Hogan's number, and we all thought it was just heel Bobby Heenan being heel Bobby Heenan, but he was there in plain sight.
Yeah.
He was
telling
telling
us
us
the brain for nothing,
and we ignored it.
Yeah, we apologize, Mr. Heenan. This is the moment though where I think the stairs works. I think the visual from the hard cam, was it the hard cam? No, it wasn't the hard cam. It was from the other side of the ring, wasn't it? So you've got the ring and you've got Savage and DiBiase in the ring. And then you've got in the distance, because that walkway is incredibly tight, isn't it? You mentioned it's the stairs, it's very narrow. And you've got Hogan, who's a massive man, striding down towards the ring, the crowd all going mad. And then in the foreground, the forefront of the picture, Savage and DiBiase wrestling. That's one hell of an image, mind. You know, 1988, golden era of wrestling, Hulkamania running wild, etc., etc. That's one hell of an image. That looked cool.
Yeah. There's that moment, and the one I actually thought that you was going to be mentioning was when I can't remember the guy's name, Robin Leach, I think he was called. The guy who was the guest presenter, he comes out carrying the title on like a red pillow, and the crowd are able to like touch the title, and that was a cool graphic. The crowd were able to get that close to the title. I was hoping that a fan grabbed the title and kind of ran off of it. That would have been cool. But the fact that that was the only time for me where the small entrance ramp, it was a benefit because the crowd could get up close and personal with that title. Other than that, I hated it. I hated the fact that the wrestlers had to come downstairs. I hated the fact that there was no entrance ramp. Just pissed me off.
I can tell. Savage misses a top rope elbow drop. DiBiase snaps on the $1 Million Dream sleeper hold. That's when Hogan jumps in the ring.
Healy Hogan
hits him with a chair, and this allows Savage to complete the top rope elbow drop and win the championship, which, if I remember correctly, doesn't Hogan go and grab and present to Savage as well, or is that...
No, that definitely happens. And also when Elizabeth goes onto Savage's shoulder for that infamous pause that they do, Hogan has to get involved in there as well, like the tosser that he is. I just hate everything about Hogan. That was Savage's moment. That's when he had reached the top of the mountain. Let him have a couple of minutes where he was the guy. But no, Hogan has to come down and go, yeah, he might be the champion, but I'm the guy. Everybody look at me. I'm here to pause. You
think as well, going forward, Savage wins not going forward, going backwards, and Savage wins the Intercontinental Championship, has one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time at WrestleMania 3 when he drops it to Steamboat. Hogan is the guy in the main event. This here, Hogan headlines WrestleMania 8, even though Savage is in the world title match in the mid card. You know, we go into WCW. Savage is world champion on occasions, and they still have Hogan's nameplate on the belt. It's unbelievable the way these two's careers go. And Hogan at times did look after Savage. He did get him a job in WCW. He did help him with contract negotiations and all that sort of stuff. And then they'd fall out and all that. But the way their careers kind of are constantly, entwined in a way. And no matter what Savage did, Hogan was always there, just a step ahead or a step above, just politicking his way to be the main guy above Randy time and time again. It's incredible how it just constantly happened.
He either had one foot on Savage's head as he was climbing the ladder, or when Savage was at the top of the tree, Hogan had to have that secondary limelight. It's just annoying. I mean, for what Hogan did for the wrestling business, I appreciate that. But fucking hell, let someone else have the limelight. What would it have changed for Hogan to have just let Savage have this 5 minutes? He would have still got the Mega Powers exploding and WrestleMania 5 and all that business. Let Savage have his 5 minutes in the sun. He didn't need to be there, but you can tell he just had to politic his way that he was always at the end of the show. It's just he had to pause. It's a meme, but that's the fact. Hogan must pause at the end because he had to be the guy.
Yeah, that's fair. This is the best match of the night, but it's still not great. I don't think it goes above a 5 for me.
Yeah. I mean, the finish for me knocks so much off it. I'm going to go with another 4.
Why? Okay. I suppose working it to the averages as to what I've given the matches and so on, I think I'm maybe being a bit generous, but overall, I'm probably looking at a 4.5 max.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if I were to take the numbers as an average, I've gone 4-0-4. So that would work out to a 3 over the 3 matches, or just under a 3. But this is Savage being world champion, and you can't help but smile at that happening, because if anyone deserved to be a world champion at this moment, it was Randy Savage. The guy was phenomenal in the ring. He wasn't phenomenal on this pay-per-view. Don't get me wrong, this is not a good time in his wrestling catalogue, but he deserved that title. So I'm going to be more generous for what it meant as Savage being the world champion. I'm going to give it a 5.
Okay, so there we go. That's WrestleMania 4 and Randy Savage's 4 matches. Magsy, loads of people on this show. A massive card.
Yeah.
Where would you like to go next week if your selection wins the poll?
Well, I, after watching this and putting it forward, felt a little bit dirty that I'd done this, because with rose-colored glasses, I forgot how poor the matches were. This was not a good showing for a tournament. But we've already mentioned what is a good showing for a tournament. Arguably one of the best 2 tournaments, and definitely the best wrestler to go through a tournament and win. I want to go to King of the Ring 1993. I want to watch the Bret Hart trilogy and the 3 immaculate and very different matches that he had in that tournament. Just so we see how a one-night tournament is done correctly.
Man, that is one of my favourite pay-per-views of all time. It's one of the VHS tapes I had as a kid. It's probably still up on the cupboard behind me there, actually. I watched that so many times. I love that. I would happily watch that.
So I was part of the team on that 90s wrestling podcast that covered this pay-per-view with luckily with Dan and Rob and James, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Bret Hart in this tournament proves that he was the best wrestler in the world. No if ands or buts. He has 3 very different matches with 3 very different wrestlers, and he knocks it out time. This is quality wrestling, so it will make up for the shower of shit that if you watch along with us that we subjected you to. Watch along next week. Vote for mine first. Watch along next week, and that is proper wrestling for proper wrestling fans.
See, my pick, I really, really wanted to win when I decided which way I was going, because I thought this is going to be the business. I'm really looking forward to if this wins covering this on this show. And there's so many places we can go out of it as well. But now you've put forward King of the Ring 93. I'm like, fucking hell. I think even I might vote for your pick this week.
Good choice.
But I do have to put something up against it. So I'm going to use Ravishing Rick Rude as the link. He was in a match earlier on in the show. I'm going to take Rick Rude wrestling at the Great American Bash 1992. He is in a tag team contest because there's a few tournaments going on there as well, Magsy. Actually, there's a tag team tournament for the NWA titles. This is an earlier match in the show, but still goes nearly half an hour. Rick Rude's partner is stone cold, at the time, stunning Steve Austin. So there's a lot of talent on that side of the ring. On the other side of the ring, even more talent, because at Great American Bash, Rick Rude and Steve Austin took on the tag team of Dustin Rhodes and the 2-time Hall of Famer Barry fucking Windham. So that is what I am putting forward for this week's poll. Great American Bash 1992, Dustin Rhodes, Barry Windham versus Rick Rude and Steve Austin.
Pick Brett, guys. Come on. I've already said nice things about Barry on this episode. Don't make me do it twice, 2 episodes in a row.
And no, Dan Griffin, there will be no 50-50, please. That's too much. That's too much.
That's a lot of wrestling. I mean, we
That is a
will
lot of
look at. I think one of Brett's matches is longer than pretty much all of Savage's in-ring time for this pay-per-view.
I've clocked Savage's in-ring time as being around 26 minutes.
No, so maybe not. So 1.5 of Brett's matches.
The first match against Razor is about 10 minutes long, isn't it? In the King of the Ring. So yeah.
I've actually got the page up. So yeah, you've got 10. You've got 19 minutes for Brett versus Perfect, which is that's a banger of a match. Yeah. And then Bam Bam versus Brett is another 18 minutes. So yeah, it's about half of the time that Brett wrestles in 3. Savage clocks in at 4.
Yeah, there we go. Those are your options for the poll for next week's Chain Wrestling Live. We have the Bret Hart Masterclass that is King of the Ring in 1993, or we go to Great American Bash 1992 and we see Dustin Rhodes, Barry Windham taking on Rick Rude and Steve Austin. Magsy, do you want to dive through the chat quickly before we talk about Hogan being a bullshitter?
Yes, we shall. So Connor comes back. He said, "Hello, apologies for arriving late. I'm assuming that's meant to say I was out running errands and adulting in the same way that that Sargo's adulting down Gloucester City Centre at nights." He also says that Columbus Crew, I think it's Columbus. It is Columbus, isn't it? Columbus Crew are unbeaten in 4 matches, looking to close out the round of 16 against Houston tomorrow in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and then move on to last night. Well, good luck to the crew. I hope they're doing a better job than Burnley are doing. How do make Aaron's run around big with a big stick? Listen, he can't help it. He's American. That's how they talk. Connor then says he ate something rank on Saturday and had the shits all day.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I mean, no, don't ever share that again. But I'm glad that you called it the shits, because I didn't think they would call it that in America. But yeah, that's actually tickled me. Sharon just like, what the fuck? King's Big Banner, not good. And then like a shitty puff of a wizard, Dan Griffin comes out back and says, "I'm back, y'all." After he heard the fact that someone had shit themselves and thought, this is where I throw myself back into the show. He then says, as the show been chaos, I think Connor watching football yesterday gave him the shits. Sharon then threatens him with a good time, and I'm assuming that's on about all the Cody gifts for when he wins WrestleMania. King pigs back again into the Dan torment, saying, "Sharon, we should talk. I'll create a special one just for Dan." So Dan, you shouldn't have come back because they're just going to bully you now. He says, "Sharon, you mean when Roman wins and the Cody crybabies drown in their own tears?"
Oh,
I mean, it could happen. It would be the worst thing to ever happen, but it could happen.
I think Cody's going to do it. I can't see Cody.
He can't not. Dan then says that Bret Hart trilogy is wrestling euphoria. Yep, it absolutely is.
It's so good.
Connor says, "Is there 53 other Barrys better than Barry Windham?" No, there's not. That's a rude thing to say. You should take that back. There's 32 Barrys better than Barry Windham. And then Dan says he doesn't want a 50-50. Stick your fucking Barry Windham Rick Rude tag match on up your ass. He wants Brett.
Oh dear.
And the poo talk summoned him, and Roman's taking it to beat Hogan's record. I mean, it's a possibility. It is a possibility.
But they've just added this stipulation, haven't they? That if Cody doesn't win, he doesn't get another shot against Roman.
They're AEW in it. They're AEW in it, aren't they? They set himself a bar that maybe they won't be able to cross. And you know, for the build-up, I mean, we're going off on a tangent again. I've been so disappointed with Rock on the mark. Now, normally Rock is one of those wrestlers who he's enthralling when he's on the mark. I mean, look at him in the Attitude Era, it was peak. But when he's calling Seth Rollins a walking clown emoji 45 times in one promo, that's fucking ridiculous. What has happened to The Rock that was electrifying on the microphone? What a tosser. But he's going to turn on Roman doing the whole L thing, and
I think Cody might take the pin on the Saturday night and then win on the Sunday.
I don't. I think so. I think he doesn't get the bloodline involved.
Okay.
So I think that they win. But who takes the pin? Does Rock take the pin or does Roman take the pin? I can't see Roman losing twice.
Roman won't take the pin. So
maybe
Rock got to take the pin?
As he should, because as Seth said in the last promo, move on with your middle-age crisis. You've had your time. It's our time now. I like Rock coming back for a pop, and it gives me the goose pimples like he does, but he's doing exactly what CM Punk said he did.
Yeah, exactly. Punk was right all along.
Oh, that was dirty. I felt horrific. And there's me wearing a Rock t-shirt on our two-faced.
Magsy, tell me about Hogan.
Let me load up the video first because I've missed listening to this.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Liar, liar, pants on fire, hanging from a telephone wire. Squirming, pants are burning. When I lie, my hips start turning.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Look, man, I made a mistake.
So
Hulk Hogan once claimed that he was the wrestler responsible for the WWF selling merchandise or starting to sell merchandise. And he said that he had to talk Vince McMahon into running with it because he wasn't up for selling merchandise. Now, I can take that as gospel because Hulk is a bullshitter, but there was something in me that made me feel like I needed to follow that up. So I had a little route around, and I'm just gonna let's see if I can load up the page. There we go. So this here is a page of WWF shirts that were on sale. The first set of WWF t-shirts and merchandise that was for sale. Now they have Bob Backlund, Don Morocco, Rocky Johnson, then there's Andre Giant One, Superfly, and Sergeant Slaughter. Now these were from mid 1983. Hogan didn't rejoin the WWF until late 1983, like December, I think, was his first match back with the company, which means that he couldn't have told Vince McMahon to start selling merchandise because these were on sale first. So I wanted to double confirm that. So I went through some pictures of Hogan in his first run in the WWF, in case because he had an early run in like the very late 70s.
He was a heel, wasn't he? And he battled Andre's babyface. Yeah.
He could have mentioned it to a young Vincent Kennedy McMahon at that time, but he didn't, because he didn't even wrestle in yellow and red. He had blue, times where he was wearing blue. There's pictures of him where he was wearing white. So he claims that he brought WWF into the merchandising world when they'd already done that at least 6 months before he came into the company. So Hogan, you're a fucking liar.
Yes.
A heely, cheating liar.
You are indeed. Those t-shirts from '83 look cool, mind. I'd wear those. Maybe not the Superfly one.
Oh yeah, that's a bit out there, isn't it? If I put them back up, On the Andre the Giant one, I know you can't really see it a lot, but it's actually got the Giant in quotation marks, as if he wasn't actually a giant. It was like being sarcastic. But in the Reddit thread that this is from, there's people who said that these t-shirts go for like $80 to $90 a t-shirt nowadays.
Oh, I don't want one that much.
But from $7 to $90, that's a fucking good. That's some real profit there.
It is. So there we go. That's kind of it, Maxie, for tonight, isn't it? That's it.
It is.
4 matches, non-wrestling topic, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, bang, bang, bang. Barry Windham's amazing.
All in 2 hours, 4 minutes, half of the time of a WrestleMania.
There we go.
We're good.
Maxie, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me outside my house if you're that way inclined. But other than that, I have got a Twitter. I don't really use it, at PodfatherMags, or I've got a TikTok, which is at PodfatherMags. You've probably more chance of catching me on there.
Fair enough. Anything that I'm involved in is via the network that carries this show. That's at SJP World Media. And yeah, I know it's gone a bit quiet over the last week, but we covered earlier on in the show why that was. Nitro Nights, The Waiting Room, the Doctor Who pod, the HBK pod, all of those will be returning back to the network very, very soon, as well as shows by people who are not me. So we have the Axe Playlist podcast as well. Brilliant. I love that show so much, where Dana puts together playlists for you and you can find them on Spotify to listen to for different moods and different bands and so on. Just so much going on. I can't even begin to dive into it all. In the Corner with Benny Mac, Tyler's Takedowns with Tyler Peters as well. And those two are also writing a blog as well, which you can find via Benny Mac and In the Corner's social medias. So make sure you go and check that out as well. If there is no podcast, there will be a blog, so you can still get Benny and Tyler's thoughts on what's going on in the world of WWE and beyond every single week. You can either hear from them or you can read their thoughts. So go and check that out as well. But most importantly, you can find and follow this show itself on Facebook and Twitter. That's at @chain_wrestling. It's at @chain_wrestling. Magsy, I'm off now to make sure I get a lot of sleep because I am very, very tired again. But it's going to be tricky because I'm going to put Barry Windham matches on and they will keep me awake because he's a 2-time Hall of Famer for a goddamn reason. I'll speak to you next week, my friend.
Barry Windham was the Marty Jannetty of the US Express.